Welcome back to IASnet study. This is the ethics series, and we were discussing the sixth unit, ethics in public administration. In last few videos, we talked about ethical dilemmas, how to resolve the ethical dilemmas. Then we talked about law as a source of ethical guidance, conscience as a source of ethical guidance. Now let's take up the another topic that is mentioned in your syllabus: accountability and the governance. See, this accountability, this is one among the foundational values. We talked about these foundational values in the third unit, aptitude. There we have covered most of the foundational values. We didn't cover accountability and one more, that is probity. I had told you guys that these topics will be discussed in the sixth and seventh unit. Here we are going to talk about accountability. In the next unit we are going to talk about probity. So let's get into the discussion of this. Let's start with governance first, and then we are going to cover the accountability. Governance, here there is nothing much here. All you have to focus is ethical governance. So in order to understand ethical governance, you need to be aware of what exactly the basic definition of governance, and how does it differ from good governance, what is the difference between governance and good governance, and how exactly governance become ethical governance. There was a question in the mains examination in the ethics paper. It has been explained with examples. If you go through with my previous year's question paper analysis videos there, and even if you go through with my book also, it has been given with examples. It has been given, it has been asked in the examination. So here what I'll do is I'll just go through with the basic definitions and basic understanding, and then we are going to take up the concept of accountability. So let's talk about governance. What exactly is the governance? Governance, it is the way power is exercised. Government has the power, executive it has the power, legislature they have the power. So they are going to exercise the power. Why are they, what is the necessity, or why are they going to use this power? Reason is that they have to manage resources. So governance, here power is going to be exercised by some authority, and this power is exercised to manage resources. And why do you need to manage resources? In order for the national development, for the development of the country, socio-economic development. So governance is nothing but it is a process where power is exercised to manage resources. It may be financial resources, natural resources, resources of the country. So what is the objective? It is national development, socio-economic development. This is governance. Now what is the difference between governance and good governance? Again, here also governance, here also power, exercise of power is there. There is a manner to exercise of power to manage resources. But here the international institutions like United Nations, and if you go through with the Nolan principles, these kind of international agencies, they have given certain definition, and these definitions include certain terminologies. And what are these terminologies? Transparency, accountability, responsive, fairness, legality, rule of law, following rule of law, participatory governance. These are some of the terminologies. So governance including all these things in the manner where power is exercised. See, governance usually it is a exercise of power, the manner in which you are handling things. But here under good governance, of course, here also you have that authority to handle things. But here, while handling things, you are going to make sure that these aspects, these attributes are also going to be considered in your governance. Then this become good governance. Now you understood governance, you understood good governance, the manner, the way you handle things. And here good governance, here also you have certain authority, you can handle administration. But here you make sure that it is handled in a transparent way, it is handled in the factor of accountability, there is a factor of responsiveness, fairness, justice, all these things you are going to ensure that in your conduct. And then comes ethical governance. Again, ethical governance is the extended version of good governance. Good governance, already you're talking about rule of law, you're talking about participatory aspect, you're talking about transparency, accountability. But ethical governance, whatever we have studied in foundational values, inculcation of all these foundational values in the way you handle your power, you handle your authority. So ethical governance, here you are handling the resources. And here, while handling the resources, you ensure moral and ethical principles. So these moral and ethical principles are nothing but foundational values. And what are these foundational values? Integrity, justice, honesty, compassion, empathy, and non-partisanship, impartiality. These are some of the values, these are some of the foundational values, these are some of the moral and ethical principles. And you inculcate all these moral principles in governance, that becomes ethical governance. So initially it is governance, and then the extended version of a governance becomes good governance, and again expanded and extended version of good governance become ethical governance. In good governance there are values which here you mainly focus on the efficiency of the governance, efficiency of the administration. But here in the ethical governance you ensure ethical considerations also: integrity, honesty, public welfare, people's interest, and uplifting vulnerable section. These are some of the ethical principles. You consider these ethical principles also in the administration, in the governance. So this is the major difference between good governance, and ethical governance. So governance is all about what is done, what you have to do, what has to be done. That is governance. What is good governance? How do you do these things? I am going to follow legal routine. I am going to follow rational aspect. I am going to follow the participatory aspect. I am going to follow the justice aspect. I am going to follow the fairness aspect. So good governance is about how you do the governance. Then come ethical governance, and ethical governance is about why do we have to do that. Question mark comes. Why do I have to inculcate all these things? That question mark comes here. Then you get the reason. It is ultimately for the social welfare. And these are the prime difference between governance, good governance, and ethical governance. Right? This is with respect to governance. Now let's talk about accountability. Accountability, the simple definition, what exactly accountability means? Accountability means that answerability. I am liable for my action. I have taken a decision and I am answerable for my decision. If you ask me question, why did you do it? Accountability is that I am going to answer your question. So I am liable for my actions, I am liable for my decision. I have to answer regarding my decisions and my action. So accountability is the liability or answerability of a person or a group to a higher authority. Here usually, uh, if somebody who is above me or higher authority in my personal life, I am answerable to my family members, I am answerable to my parents. Somewhere that accountability liability factor is there. In my professional life, I am a teacher and I am answerable to the principal because he is higher authority, and who is the principal is he is accountable to the management. So there is a accountability factor, and usually we are answerable to the usually higher authorities. And this accountability you have to implement, or you have to see from a civil service aspect also, public service aspect also. In general, accountability is liability or answerability. Usually you are liable to your higher authorities. So this is what, if you are a civil servant, you are liable. Whom do you have to answer? One thing, you are liable, you have to answer public, you have to answer your political leadership. So there are two liabilities. You have to have that answerability. For one side there is a public, another side there is a political leadership. So this is accountability. And what is the purpose of accountability? Why do I need to answer my actions? I am a servant, I get salary and I do my work. So this should be enough. So what is the necessity to answer, to have this liability factor, to have this answerability factor? The first thing is, it helps to check wrong actions, it helps to check arbitrary actions. See, if I have to answer you, then make sure that I should not do anything wrong. Because if I am answerable to my higher authorities, and if I do something wrong, the higher authority can take action against me. So there will be some kind of accountability, there will be some kind of fear factor will be there. So this fear factor or this kind of liability, this helps to eliminate wrongdoings, wrong actions, eliminate arbitrary action. So since I have to answer somebody else, I make sure that whatever the law, whatever the procedure, I am going to follow this. I am not going to follow any of the shortcuts. Whatever the law says, I am going to follow. Whatever the procedure says, I am going to follow. So one One thing, the first purpose is to check the wrong actions and the arbitrary actions. The second purpose is that, see, when I am following all the procedures, all the norms and every legal aspect, then it is automatically going to enhance the efficiency. And if everybody in an organization is accountable, everybody is enhancing, is having this factor of accountability, then overall effectiveness of an organization, it is going to improve. So at individual level I will be efficient, at the organization level my organization will be efficient. If I am a civil servant, I am answerable to political leadership, I am answerable to the citizens. Now my efficiency is, it is going to increase. At the same time, my office, the district collector office, is also going to, the effectiveness of district collector office is also going to be enhanced due to the accountability factor. So this is the purpose. So in public administration, civil servants usually, if you are a civil servant, you are answerable to the public, you are answerable to the elected representative. Even though there is no direct accountability, there are so many checks and balances are there, but still you are answerable to them. You are answerable to the people, you are answerable to the representative. See, directly they cannot come, people cannot come and question you, but there are various arenas, there are various regulatory bodies where they can approach and they can demand their answers. They can demand, why did you actions, they can demand answers, they can demand actions regarding your decisions. So in public administration, you are accountable to the public, you are accountable to the elected representatives. And how exactly you are accountable, and it is through the authorities. There are vigilant authorities, there are ombudsmen, usually vigilance authorities like CBC, CBI, then comes CAG, Lokpal. These kind of regulatory bodies, statutory bodies, constitutional bodies are there to control your conduct. One thing, and another thing, ombudsman usually, it means it is going to check your conduct. So it is going to monitor your action and ensure ethical and responsible function. So you understood accountability, you understood what is the purpose of accountability and how exactly accountability works in public administration. Now let's talk about types of accountability. The first type, vertical accountability. Vertical accountability, what exactly the vertical accountability here? Citizens, they ask questions, they can ask questions to the public. And vertical accountability, it is social audit, that citizen scrutiny. These are some of the ways where citizens can question you. So this is vertical accountability. And we have horizontal accountability also. What is a horizontal accountability? Here executive is accountable to the legislature. So executive has to answer in parliament, legislature can ask question to the executive, and executive's responsibility is accountable to the legislature. This is one thing. And another thing, yeah, this would be vertical accountability and horizontal accountability. Yeah, we have one more type of accountability, that is internal accountability, and we have external accountability. See, when you talk about internal accountability in my department, how exactly we can ensure internal accountability? Through the budget allocation and through the management, internal accountability can be ensured. At the same time, external accountability through the bodies like CVC, CBI. Through these kind of regulatory bodies you can ensure external accountability. So when it comes to the types of accountability, the first type, it is a vertical accountability, horizontal accountability. Vertical accountability, where citizens can ask the question to the administrators, and horizontal accountability, where executive is answerable to the legislature. This is one type of accountability. And the second type of accountability is internal accountability and external accountability. Internal accountability, it is that yes, you are answerable. How exactly you are answerable? Because your budget is allocated by government. So you are you can be controlled, you, and government can make you answerable, government can make you liable through the budget allocation, through the even management procedures also, you are accountable to them. So internal accountability. External accountability is that outer regulatory bodies can question you and you are answerable to them. You are liable for your actions in front of these organizations. CVC, it can conduct the inquiries. CBI, CAG, these are all external agencies or regulatory bodies. They have the control over administration. So these are external accountability and the agencies of external accountability, right? These are two types of accountability. Beyond that also, there are certain accountability factors are there for civil servants. So let's go through with terminologies are different types of accountabilities for civil services. The first is constitutional accountability. Constitutional accountability, me being a civil servant, I have to uphold the constitutional morality. Whatever the constitutional value says, I have to uphold it. So, see, that is the oath I have taken to uphold the constitutional values. And me being a civil servant, it is mandatory on me to uphold the values and principles of constitution. Constitutional accountability is there on me. And then political accountability. Yes, I am answerable to the elected leadership, political leadership, elected representatives. So I am answerable to them also. And one more thing you need to remember, this political accountability, I have to maintain that neutrality. And I should not criticize the decision taken by minister or a political representative, or I should not misguide whatever they expect from me. I have to give the neutral advice to them. I should not take credit for any positive work, or I should not take blame for any negative work. I have to work in a neutral perspective. So this is political accountability. That then comes legal accountability. Yes, I am a civil servant, I have to follow legal framework. I should work within the legal framework. So this is what rationality also talks about, rational reasoning. And what is the core of the reasoning? It is the legal framework. So legal accountability is there. I have to ensure whatever my actions and decisions, it has to comply with established laws and regulations. And then judicial accountability, whatever the judicial rulings, judicial interpretations, everything, I am accountable to judiciary also. So judicial accountability is there. And court, they have the power to strike down the acts of legislature also. So in turn, my accountability lies, one side it is the elected representative, another side it is constitution, and another side it is judiciary also. So this is judicial accountability. And then national accountability. National accountability, yes, national interest is the primary objective. Me being a civil servant, it is the national interest. And then personal accountability. See, I have personal account. Even though I am a civil servant, even at my personal capacity also, I have to fulfill my personal accountability. There are personal accountabilities are there, and I have to fulfill that. See, I am a civil servant. That does not mean that I am not. I am going to shed every identity of individuality. No, I am not. It is not going to happen. I am going to. I am a separate individual. My identity is also there, even though it should not completely or it should not interfere in my professional capacity. But still, there is a factor of overlapping is there. So even my personal accountability also to my family and to my friends, I have to fulfill that also, even though it is not given utmost priority, but it is important. Personal accountability. Then social accountability. Yes, I am answerable to the public. I am liable for my actions in front of the people, even though it is not direct, but there is a liability factor is there. There is a factor of social accountability, because I have certain obligations and I have to uphold the societal norms and social values. So these are types of accountability. First type of accountability, vertical accountability, horizontal accountability. Second type of accountability, internal accountability, external accountability. And the third aspect of accountability, where series of accountabilities are there: constitutional, political, legal, judicial, national, personal, and social accountability. So these are three sets of accountability, right? Now we understood accountability, we understood types of accountability. Now let's see what are the problems in civil services and what are the problems to follow accountability in civil services. Usually there is a common question in governance, that why is it difficult to guard the guardians? If I break the law, guardians are there to take care of me. I have to, I can be punished. But who is going to guard the guardians? If guardians have these factor of accountability, responsibility, integrity, honesty, then it is good. It is well and good for the society. It is easy to guard the guardians through these foundational values. Especially accountability is one among these foundational values here. And if you look at the civil services accountability, it faces certain challenges. Here we are talking about problems. We talked about accountability, national accountability, constitutional accountability, all these things. Now, what is the problem in ensuring this accountability. Even though I am a civil servant, I have to fulfill all these accountability factors. My accountability is there to constitution, judiciary, legal aspect, people, social accountability, all the things are there. But am I showcasing, am I fulfilling my factor of accountability? See, in a scenario, in a real life scenario, can a citizen go to a district collector office and can he question him that question directly, question the district collector there? And even if I go and I question the district collector, do you think that I am going to get appropriate answer from them? It's not. Then what is the, why is it happening, what are the problems there? That we are going to discuss here. Government has made everything, constitution has made everything, the every accountability factor, it in theory it's everything is there, but at the practical level, at implementation level, it is not up to the mark. Even though you have various tools and techniques, but the thing is, following it is not very easy. There are challenges, and let's see the challenges here. The first and foremost challenge is the special expertise. See, public administrators, civil servants, or public servants, they're often experts in their specific field. They have the knowledge, and I am a common citizen, and if I have to question them, I have to understand that first. See, I want to question regarding some water problem, and I go to the water department, and I want to talk to the head civil servant there who is heading the department. Now if I have to question him, I have to have the details with me. So in order to have the details, I have to understand what exactly this is. Though the special expertise is required, then only I can question the civil servant. If I could not able to understand this, then what am I going to question them? This is one of the real life challenges here. See, I know that there is a problem, but what exactly the problem, I cannot explain it. I don't have that special expertise. So this is one of the challenges for the civil services accountability. When I don't know how to explain it, I cannot question it. If nobody questions it, and what about the accountability factor for civil services? Nobody is questioning it. At theory, yes, there is an accountability. So civil servant is accountable to the citizens, but at practical level, there are challenges, there are obstructions, there are obstacles. So this is what special expertise. Usually, outside agencies find it difficult to match their technical knowledge or challenge their decisions. Civil servant has taken a decision. Now, I don't have the technical knowledge to question. This is the one thing. And second thing is information secrecy. See, from 20 years we are having this RTA, all these things. Before that, the information secrecy was very much maintained. Now the social media is there, and whatever decision administration takes, you get within minutes or within seconds. But it was not the situation was not like this before 20 years or 25 years. There was a information secrecy, and even now also information secrecy is there. And even if you get the raw information, dissecting these information to understanding format, that itself is a big problem here. That is another challenge here. So information secrecy one side, another thing is understanding the information, dissecting that information. This is another challenge here. So administrator, they generate all these information, they take decisions, they have the control over this information. And they, once one thing they generate, and they have the control over information. First of all, to get this information itself is a big challenge. After I get this information, dissecting this raw information, that itself is another challenge. So this is another problem to ensure civil services accountability. So usually information is often inaccessible or difficult to understand for regulators or the public. For public, even for the, here it has been mentioned, even for the regulators, for themselves, it is difficult to understand, and you cannot expect public to understand this information. One thing, it is inaccessible. Another thing, even if it is accessible, understanding is a challenge. So this is a second challenge to the civil services accountability. And the third challenge, full-time status. See, civil servants, they work full-time, and me being a common citizen, I have certain work. Think that I am a teacher, so 9 hours I am working as a teacher, and I get very short span of time to involve in all these things. And here, if I have to question the civil servant, there are various agencies, and if I'm not happy, then where do I go for? I have regulatory boards, I can complain. There are tribunals, I can go there, I can complain. But imagine how much time it takes. It takes my time, it takes my energy, and it takes my financial resources also. And at the end of the day, I get so fed up of all these things, and I give up. So this is another reason. They are full time, they have their full time status, they work continuously, or their work is that, as a civil servant, public servant, they are, that is their domain. I am working as something else. First thing, I get the information, fine. Now I have to contact them, and whatever time restraint I have, whatever the resource restraint constraint I have, in that constraint only, questioning them or to learn these things and then going through the judiciary or something, tribunal or something, to get the answers, it is not the easy task. So civil servant works full time, whereas oversight bodies, legislature, judiciary, CAG, media, have limited times and resources to monitor them effectively. And another problem is that massive expansion of bureaucracy. We have a huge population in our country, and even bureaucracy is also very vast and very huge in our country. And because of this vastness, because of this huge geographical spread, even for the government agencies itself, it is so difficult to supervise. For government difficult, imagine government difficult, they find it very difficult to supervise these things. And we, being a common citizens, is it so easy for us to find everything and go and question them? It is very difficult. It has become another challenge or another obstacle for a civil services accountability. And even higher officials, regulatory bodies, they themselves cannot monitor all subordinates closely. Even within single office only, there are so many people working under me, and I cannot monitor all of them. I have my own work. On top of it, do you think that I could able to monitor their work? It's so difficult. And these kind of offices, these kind of administrative units, there are thousands are there in our country. So how do you manage, how do you ensure accountability there? So this has become another challenge for a civil services accountability. So these are some of the reasons. Two more reasons are there: lack of coordination among the agencies. See, one department to another department, I want to have some information, and I have been directed to the another agency or another department, from there another department. This coordination is there, everybody is pointing finger to the another department, nobody is ready to take that accountability. So this escape attitude, this another challenge or another roadblock in the civil services accountability. Lack of coordination among the agencies, poor coordination leads gaps in accountability and reduces the effectiveness of checks and balances. And then we have excessive security and protection. Excessive security and protection, it is job security has been given to the administrators and civil servants. Again, even if you something wrong done, something wrong has been done by a civil servant, and you have to approach the tribunal, there is a judiciary also, they will go to the judiciary. Eventually it is going to take a lot of time, and a lot of security, job security has been given to these administrator by constitution itself. So this security is the strong job security, sense of security, it has become another challenge for accountability. Now they know that to remove an IAS officer, it is not a very easy task. President has to approve it, and to convince that president, there are so many procedures are there, and they know that even if you go to the judiciary and all, it is going to take 10 to 15 years to prove it. So even civil servants, they know these things, and there is a sense of security to them. And it is not just a security, excessive security, excessive protection has been given to their job profile. This has become another challenge or another obstacle for accountability of civil services in our country. So these are some of the reasons. Ignore this heading, types of accountability. Here we are talking about problems of accountability. Now, this is with respect to accountability. Initially, we talked about accountable governance. Then we talked about accountability. Then we talked about types of accountability, three different types of categories of types of accountability. Then we talked about problems in civil services accountability, that we talked about. Next topic, that is a very small topic, and this topic we have discussed in the second unit also, in the third unit also. I don't know why they have involved integrated this topic again in the sixth unit. So is strengthening values in governance. So we are going to see this topic from a three perspective, three dimension. First is that what is the significance of governance, and then let me go through with that. First, yes, first, what is the role of ethics or morality in governance? Then, what is the significance of values and ethics in governance? And finally, how do you inculcate these values and ethics in governance? So, from three dimensions. The first, role, significance, and how do you ensure these values in governance? So role of values in governance or morality in governance, significance of values and morality in governance, and how do you inculcate or how do you ensure these values and values and morality in governance? So these are three perspectives. So see, let's get into the discussion of this strengthening values in governance. So if you look at the Indian administration, even pre-British period and even prehistoric India, concept of good governance it was there. The concept of Ram Rajya it was there, and the concept of Ram Rajya it includes justice. It means that the administration or the governance it should include justice, it should include welfare, and it should include ethical rule or ethical leadership. So this is what Ram Raja, the concept of Ram Raja was there. And if you look at the literature, Indian literature, the initial way back, if you go to the Mauryan time, the Kautilya, the Arthashastra, even though the book talks about practical way of administration, polity, all these things, economics, all these things, beyond that, it talks about morals, it talks about values, it talks about ethics in governance also. So even it talks about leadership. In that concept of explaining leadership, it talks about ethical leadership. It talks about the values that are required to maintain the healthy society. It talks about various morals, various values, and positive attributes. So when we think from a prehistoric period, historic period, yes, we were discussing about these values, we were discussing about these ethics in administration, ethics in governance. Now, what is the role of ethics and morality in governance? If there is a if there is a ethics, if there are moral values in governance, this ensure the aspect of legality. So I make sure that I follow rule of law. If there are values, I've taken oath. I've taken oath on Indian Constitution. Now I am going to fulfill my oath because I am a honest person. I have these values, honest person. When I am honest, then I am going to uphold my oath that I am going to fulfill the legal aspect, legality of the job profile. And then rationality. Rationality is taking decision based on some logical reasoning. So here this is another aspect ensured by values. So if I have this moral values and ethical values, I make sure that there is a factor of rationality in my content, and there will be sense of responsibility, there will be sense of responsiveness also. Whatever official act, whatever official decisions I make, what everything will be in the public interest. So the sense of responsibility will be there if there are values in governance, if there are values in administration. And there will be accountability also, because I am answerable to you, I am liable to you. So here answerability to laws, citizens, and oversight bodies. So these morals and values, this ensure accountability. And it talks about the work commitment also. It is going to ensure dedication, diligence, and efficiency in the public services. So what is the role? The first aspect is the role of these values. What is the role? These values ensure legality, rationality, responsibility, accountability, and dedication. These are some of the some of the values ensured due to the ethics and morality in governance. So we understood the role of values in governance. Now let's talk about significance of these values in governance. What is the significance? Why do we need it? First and foremost, to achieve the good governance, and good governance lead to the ethical governance. So in order to have a ethical governance, we want ethical values. And then strengthening these values, it helps in building trust. So it can remove the trust deficit, and it gives legitimacy to decision or the actions taken by the administrators, actions are taken by civil servants. And it makes public administration very efficient. And it gives, if I am a part of the civil services, and if I have these values, then values include excellency, values include perfection, then I am going to give my 100%. So this is going to ensure effectiveness in the public administration. And various mechanisms and approaches can be adopted to foster ethics and morality in governance. So how do you ensure this? Training, code of conduct, transparency, all these things, we are going to see this in detail. So significance, one thing for ethical governance. Second thing, it removes the trust deficit, it ensures the legitimacy to the administration or the civil services, and it effectiveness in public administration. Now the last part of this discussion, strengthening of values in governance. How do you strengthen these values in governance? How exactly? There are two dimensions you need to answer. From individual perspective, you need to take certain steps, individual. And from organizational perspective, you have to take certain steps. And individual level, what are the steps you can inculcate to strengthen the values? The first is that there will be ethical education, moral education, or ethical training. It ensures at least some level of ethical knowledge can be ensured. And role modeling. See, if your senior is ethical, if senior is honest, and if your mentor is following all these positive attributes, this is going to impact you also. So you start valuing, you start emphasizing these positive attributes, these positive values in your conduct. So role model, observing, learning from these role model also plays very important role. And then literature, ethical literature, it has a significance, influence. And the activities like Bharat Darshan, these also, because you could able to, these kind of activities helps you to understand real life situation and the problems faced by people in the real life situations. So activities like Bharat Darshan and social audit, public scrutiny, and then sensitive training. See, at how do you, this question topic is that how do you strengthen values? So in order to strengthen values, there are 100 people who are working in an organization. If every single people, every single one is applying these things, moral education, moral training, literature, all these things, then at individual level you can ensure ethical values, you can ensure morality at individual level, one thing. And even at the organization level also, one thing, I am ethical, I have all these moral values in my conduct, and at the same time my organization should also support these values. So one way is ensuring these values at the individual level. How do you ensure? These are the ways. Now the next way is you have to ensure these values at the organization level also. So organization should also have certain standard moral values. And what are, how exactly, what are the ways? You can work on building social capital. This is one way. And you know that human relation theory, and human relation theory, it focuses on human values, it focuses on ethical consideration. So inculcate these ideas of human relation theory at the organization level, that you can consider. And ensure the ethical leadership, focus on ethical leadership. And you can use the tools like RTI, citizen charter. These are some of the tools ensures inculcation of these values. The RTI talks about accountability, transparency, all these things, responsiveness, all these things. Again, citizens charter, uh, again citizen charter also, some level of commitment, dedication, all these things, all these kind of values are ensured by these tools. So you can inculcate these kind of tools which are connected to ethical values. And in a broader perspective, you can go for a code of conduct and code of ethics, standard code of conduct and code of ethics. Code of conduct is for individual person, code of ethics is for organization level to the management, and conduct is to every individual, what is right and what is wrong, what should be done, what should not be done. These are told by code of conduct. And here it is code of conduct, here it is code of ethics. Through code of conduct and code of ethics, you can ensure, you can strengthen values in governance from individual perspective, from organizational dimension. So I think this is it. Yeah, this covers these two topics. We talked about accountability and governance, and we talked about strengthening values in governance. And thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good time.